All right. So we are continuing with the theories. Now we are going to my favorite theories so far. These are the existential theories. And so we have Rollo and Viktor Frankl, but we're going to be talking about Rollo for this video. It's pretty short, I think, so it's not too long. I think it'll be fine. So Rollo's theory is called the existential psychology. Hold on. Sorry, I had some political debates. But anyway, well, debates, discussion. But anyway, yeah. So the key concepts in existential psychology for Rollo is love, freedom, anxiety, and responsibility. So Um, let's talk about existentialism. Existentialism, or it's basically existence over essence, or making a choice. It's the quest to find meaning and accepting responsibility. And this theory basically emphasizes personal responsibility. So that's what kanang Rollo May kanang preaches. Rollo May is kanang more on the kind of go through the experience good that type of tao. But anyway, yeah, so that's basically existentialism in the gist, the existence over essence. So being in the moment good, and be living in it, the quest to find meaning and accepting responsibility. Now, being in the world, this concept is basically, kanang being immersed and being one with the world. And so who we are is shaped by our relationship with the world. So who we are as a person is shaped by our relationship with the world. Now we have three classifications for being in the world. They're Umwelt, Mitwelt, and Eigenwelt. Okay, so as I said, Umwelt, Mitwelt, and Eigenwelt. So Umwelt is basically our relationship with the physical and natural aspects of existence. So everything that's physical around us basically is what Umwelt is, our relationship with that. So that's, sensations, instincts, physical needs, uh, physical survival needs, death. That's basically what it is. That's what Umwelt is, our relationship with the external physical world. Now, Mitwelt is how we socialize with others and connect deeply with friends, lovers, family. So this is our social level or our social relationships with other people. Well, I mean, obviously, social relationship na gani, other people, gina. So, Umwelt is external physical things. Mitwelt is other people, our relationship with the surrounding people. Ang Eigenwelt is the person's relationship with the self. So this includes introspection and self-awareness. So the last one looks at your relationship with yourself, how well you do with yourself, the way you look at yourself, the way you use yourself for good, things like that. So that's Umwelt, Mitwelt, and Eigenwelt. So let's talk about guilt. So this is what happens when one of them is kanang when one of them is not in the is not met. So either one of the Umwelt, Mitwelt, or Eigenwelt. So for example, remaining oblivious to their dependence on the natural world instead of actually building a relationship and understanding, being conscious about your reliance on the external world, or failing to perceive the needs of fellow humans because you only care about yourself. You don't really look at other people as well, or denying our potentialities, not being able to, preventing ourselves from achieving greater things because, we're denying that potentiality. So having these will result in guilt of being in the world. So in a sense, if those are not met, then we will develop this guilt of being in the world, right? So non-being means death or nothingness. Now, anxiety, let's talk about anxiety. He describes it as a subjective state of the individual's awareness that his or her existence can be destroyed or become nothing. So, it's basically being anxious about being dead soon. So, choosing not to face it will kanang yeah, so choosing not to face it will basically bring anxiety. And there's two types. There's normal and neurotic anxiety. So I want to talk about this a bit more. So what I understand from his definition is that when when we are faced with the fact that we will die soon or we could die soon, right? And instead of facing it and accepting it, we choose to run away and not really kanang live in the like not really face the fact, if we try to kanang avoid it or kanang what's the word I'm looking for? Kanang basta avoid it, right? We're avoiding the actual thing that will cause anxiety in us. And so there's two types. There's normal anxiety and there's neurotic anxiety. These are the specific anxiety na. That one is just a general, that's just his general definition of anxiety. This is now normal anxiety. So it is a natural response to life's challenges and uncertainties, which leads to growth, adaptation, and personal transformation. So from the definition itself, leads to grow. It's a natural response to the challenges and uncertainties, which can lead to growth, adaptation, and personal transformation. It in itself is a good thing. It's a good natural thing because it leads to growth. Now, where it isn't a good thing is what you call neurotic anxiety, where this is repressed or avoided anxiety, as we have mentioned earlier. It's basically anxiety that hasn't been faced yet and yet lives in the back of our mind, eating us up. So because it is repressed and avoided, when it does come back, it does lead to dysfunction. That's what makes it neurotic anxiety. Now, let's talk about freedom. So he describes it as being able to harbor different possibilities in one's mind, even though it's not clear at the moment which way one must act. And what I understand from this is the fact that it's basically the ability to have many possibilities for what action to take next and not know what to do, but accepts that instead of being erratic. So this idea nga, oh my god, there's so many possibilities. I can do whatever. I can do this. I can do that. And like you start not knowing what to do. But instead of being erratic and start freaking out because of the many possibilities you have, you accept the fact that anything can happen, and so you move on with it. You just go with whatever happens. I feel like that's what he means with that kind of description. So existential freedom is basically making the choice or action. Now, the difference between existential freedom and essential freedom is that defining our meaning despite circumstance, oh my, what the hell, defining our meaning despite circumstances. So again, existential freedom is because we are existing and we have freedom, we have the choice and the action. Now, what is the difference between existential and essential freedom is that it defines our meaning despite whatever circumstances or situations we are faced with. Oh, my bad. So, will let's talk about will. So, this is one of its aspects, and it's basically the capacity to organize the self so that movement may take place. And this is essential uh, to resume responsibility, as freedom comes with responsibility. So, again, it's the capacity to organize the self so that movement may take place. Will is basically kanang your motivation to do something, the way you organize yourself so that you do something. It's similar to that concept where you know how you are as a person defines kanang whether you will do something about it. So, in this case, it's more like the way you organize yourself is the determining factor of whether movement will take place in your life, whether forward or backward, good or bad. Bit tricky to understand, yeah. So, love is the delight in the presence of another person and affirming of his or her value and development as much as one's own. And the key idea of love is that it must be healthy. It must be healthy and productive and reciprocal. At least according to what I asked my professor that one day. Sorry, laptop's heating up. Just fix that. Okay, so yeah, so they must be healthy and productive and reciprocal. So let's there are three categories. There's philia, there's eros, and there's agape. Let's first talk about philia. Philia is just friendship, brotherly love. It's the evolution of love between siblings or lifelong friends, and it's non-sexual friendships between two people, basically platonic friendships, diba? And then eros is basically romantic love, establishing an enduring union with a loved one that is not related to you, you know. Agape is the last one, and it's unconditional love. This is the, giving love without expecting anything in return. So, um, that's why I emphasized earlier that it must be healthy because, um, you know, sometimes these kinds, like let's say agape, could be unhealthy. Kaya unconditional, you're not expecting anything in return, or you're actually not getting anything in return, which can be bad. So, healthy relationships blend all forms of love uh, to, yeah, healthy relationships basically blend all forms of love. So, his psychotherapy approach, can I say Rollo May? His psychotherapy approach was to help clients face their anxiety and embrace personal freedom and responsibility and develop authentic relationships. So, to for if I remember correctly, Rollo May is more like he wants you to sit in that kanang um sit through the pain, understand that feeling, go through that feeling, and then move on. You have to experience it. He doesn't like this idea of avoiding, diba? You're being avoidant, you're beating around the bush, like he doesn't you have to face it to move on. That's kind of um his psychotherapy approach. Now, as you can see here, his goal was to get people to a point where they can decide to either stay or leave in a victim state. So, he would, his technique would kind of, help people reach a point to where you would either, you know, have to decide for yourself, do I want to stay in this victim state of constant, suffering and, just like living in this state of torment, or will I actually do something about it? Can I move on from this after embracing it? So after that, that is it. Yeah, that's basically it. So next we'll be talking about logotherapy.